A new day, a new Corsair cooler, a new army of paper bags. Like, seriously, Corsair must have gotten like a huge discount on these things. This is the Corsair Nautilus. Oh, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Nautilus. Nautilus. I hope it's Nautilus. 360 RS ARGB AIO. It exists in both black and white, and there is also a 240mm edition. But for today, we'll solely focus on the 360 and an ARGB. Now, despite Corsair being known to stuff their things full of proprietary crap like cables and software and everything else that you can imagine, like seriously, if you can imagine it, Corsair has a proprietary version of it, but not this one. The Nautilus AIO series is probably the least proprietary thing Corsair does. The fans are all 4-pin PWM controlled and daisy chainable, so you only need to hook up one, including the 3-pin ARGB control for lights, all of which also applies to the pump. In the box we will get the AIO itself, including the fans, a PWM extension cable, and the before mentioned army of paper bags containing all the mounting hardware for all nowadays relevant sockets. My local recycling center says thank you. To get the cooler going on Intel, we need to take the provided backplate, and after positioning it behind the motherboard, we can screw in the Intel standoffs on the other side. From there we need to take the Intel mounting bracket and shove it onto the block. Over on AMD we need to remove the pre-installed retention brackets, replace them with the AMD standoffs, and shove the AMD mounting bracket onto the block. From there on both sockets, slap the block onto the chip, no thermal paste necessary because there is already some on the block, and screw everything down using the thumb screws. Now, from an AIO standpoint, the Nautilus RS is kept, I would say, rather simple. We got 450mm long tubes which are braided and adjustable at the water block, very standard. The radiator has the minimum amount of Corsair branding, comes in the regular 27mm thickness, and I counted 19 FPI, so again, rather standard for an AIO. And below the water block pump combo, we will find a 56x56mm copper cold plate. Slightly bigger than what I would describe as standard, but still nothing out of the ordinary. And so are the fans. What we got on here are Corsair's RS 120 fans. Just spec-wise, they are impressive. These are up to 1700 RPM quick spinning fans, pushing up to 72.8 CFM at up to 4.15 millimeters of H2O. So, as I said, they are kinda impressive. And of course, it is still mid-2020s, so we got RGB. The fans are illuminated from the center, nice and strong, and the special sauce about this AIO is the magnetically attached cover on top of the water block pump combo. There the RGB comes from within the block, and we got this little cover here that we can just slap on top of it, which lets some of the light shine through in a somewhat cool looking pattern. Of course, with the necessary Corsair logo in the middle. You can install it in 4 different ways or 4 different orientations. So if you had to, or if you wanted to install the AIO, let's say upside down or in 360 if you are in an Intel system, you can adjust it so that the logo always looks nice and straight. So far so good, and I think I was right with this being like a simple AIO. Looks nice, RGB isn't too much in my face, and the block looks cool. Simple but cool, which is quite a refreshing take compared to the army of digital screen display proprietary stuff that I worked with like in the last few days. Like, this is a refreshing, simple take on an AIO for once. So let's see if what I would describe as a Corsair level of modest AIO, if it can perform. For Intel, we benchmark all of our coolers on top of a 3900K using 3 presets, 120, 250 and 320 watts. First we start up at full blast, and then we slowly lower the fan speed in 10% steps while keeping the pump always at 100% and note down the noise to create a noise to performance curve. Starting off with 120 watts aka gaming, there the Corsair Nautilus 360 RS ARGB, oh my god, all AIOs have so long names. Anyway, it managed to fall right into the blob of coolers that are barely acknowledging that there is something happening in the first place. At 28.4 degrees C above ambient, the 360 RS landed within margin of error of other very important alternatives, like the bigger 420 liquid freezer, the new Be Quiet AIOs, or the new Lian Lees. So very good. It's not exceptional, but exactly what I would expect from a good performing 360. But what's important here is noise. Turning down the fan speed, we can see that the Nautilus RS isn't the best, of course not, but it can compete. It outperformed both the Montec Hyperflow and the Be Quiet light loop from start to finish. Just at a certain point the light loop crossed its path, and the only noise to performance ratio which it couldn't quite reach, or one of the more important ones, is for example the Galahad 2 Light 360. Compared to the 360mm Liquid Freezer 3, there are two sides of this coin. The Corsair Nautilus isn't spectacularly loud, or at least it's just marginally louder than the Hyperflow at max speed, for example, and a tiny bit louder than both the Galahad and the Light Loop. However, compared to the LF3, of course, it's much louder at max, which ends up with two different sides. On one, once you push the speed low enough so that both AIOs match in noise, the LF3 wins. By a bit, but it wins. On the other side, the Nautilus can push the temperature down by quite a bit at the cost of noise. But this was 120 watt, and what is 120 watt for an AIO of this size and proportion? At 250 watts, this changed, just for the better when it comes to the Corsair AIO. At this load, the Nautilus 360 RS ARGB kept the chip at precisely 53 degrees C above ambient, matching the performance of the Lian Li Trinity Performance, outperforming the LF3 in 420 and landing at the 6th best spot on our chart, like overall, which is not bad at all. A few AIOs that it can't quite beat are things like the Iceberg Thermal, the EK, or that unexplainably good performing Lian Li Galahad 2 Lite. Any way you put it, the Nautilus did a good job. The corresponding noise to performance ratio for 250 watts looks slightly better as well. Now it's clearly outperforming both the Montec and the Be Quiet AIOs, and at the lower end it's even matching the Lian Li Galahad 2 Lite's performance. And compared to the LF3 and 360, which we compared it before, it is now standing in a minimally better position once you make the Nautilus spin slow enough so that the noise matches. That said, I want to point out that the AIO still has quite a lot of brutality built into it. If you got a line like this, you have an AIO where the fans brute force their way through. You lower the fan speed over and over and over again, which has a big impact on noise, but a very little one on the temperature. AKA the radiator, the cold plate, something is the limit, but it's not the fan. And this part down here is where efficiency begins. Lowering the fan speed down further reduces both noise and performance significantly, or at least in a way that makes sense. And now I just want you to compare the Galahad 2 Lite to the Nautilus. You can clearly see that making it louder, looking from the bottom up, has a way better impact on one over the other. But maybe that will change. Over at 320 watts running through the socket, things changed again. And again for the better, just not by that much. Now landing on the 5th spot, the Nautilus kept the chip at 71.1 degrees C above ambient, now outperforming the Nucleus. So again, very good result, not best in class, not by 4 spots, but very good. The corresponding noise to performance graph on the other hand doesn't look better this time. Now the distance to things like the Light Loop and Hyperflow may have become bigger, which does make sense, but so did the distance to the Galahad 2 Lite. And if we lower the fan speed down to the level of an LF3, the LF3's superior thickness shows effect, which it usually does once you push the load high enough, and it beats the Nautilus once you normalize them. On the positive side though, the brute forcing is finally over. Now the line of the Nautilus is growing on both axes nice and evenly, suggesting that we finally found a load that is meant for this type of AIO. Over on AMD we benchmark on a 7950X3D where we start at 100% fan speed and we average the core clock across all cores, after which we slowly lower the fan speed in 10% steps and we create a noise to performance graph. And on the 7950X3D the Nautilus didn't do so good. It kept roughly the same ratio as the Montec Hyperflow, but it was consistently beaten by the Galahad 2 Lite, the Light Loop and the Liquid Freezer, which at least for the last two of which it makes complete sense because both of them are using AMD's offset mounting and the Corsair just doesn't, so yeah, it's gonna have a huge effect. Compared to the Liquid Freezer, we are looking at roughly 50 MHz more on average if we normalize the noise down to the LF, but even if we go lower than that, if you make the LF spin really slow, it will still beat the Nautilus at brute force 100% fan speed. It's just, yeah, these 3D chips, they sometimes behave so weirdly, I believe. Here, as always, it's a 7950X3D, it's not overclockable, or at least not manually, and these things can greatly change with a higher load or a non-X3D chip. So, I gotta say, for a simple AIO, I was pleasantly surprised. It is not the best AIO out there. There is still like half a dozen that can beat it in max or in OS2 performance, but it's among the top 10 I have benchmarked so far, at least on Intel. For Intel, it's among the top 10. But the thing that did shock me, for a little bit though, is that this thing here is going for 119 euros on Corsair's website. Now this doesn't negate the fact that Arctic's pricing is just unbeatable, but if we take everything what's above, like the Liandis, the EK, all of these AIOs are, that are comparable or better, they are also more expensive. So I really can't believe that I'm saying this, but this Nautilus 360 RS ARGB from Corsair has a great price to performance value from Corsair. Yeah, no joke, I think it's great. Not the best, but very good, at least for Intel. For AMD, I would always suggest looking for one that comes with an offset mounting by default. They just perform better, at least on X3D chips. But on Intel, it's great. And we have a cool looking cover and no proprietary shit. And the price is okay. And it's from Corsair, what the heck? But okay, this should be everything on the Corsair Nautilus 360 RS ARGB. And at this point, a huge thank you to Corsair for sending this one over. Oh, on a side note, we have a Discord server, so if you want to join, the link is down below. And we got channel membership, so if you are planning to sell your soul for an RG poop emoji, that's one way to go. But if not, I'm also releasing the content to all members 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Except for the NDA stuff, because, you know, I don't want to get sued. Additionally, you can rest assured that the income will not only keep the channel afloat, but will also serve to hire some financial advisor that can explain to me this. How can a triple pack of very, very bad fans be more expensive than a full-blown AIO, including 3 fans? I need some professional to help me figure this out. Anyway, if you want to continue, have a look at our take on the LF3 360 Pro, which I just published a few days ago. And thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.